Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Grev, and welcome back to season 2 of the Rip Roaring Reds. My name is Grev. I'm joined by Jace. How are you on this fine Sunday evening?
I'm good, mate. The F1 was on today. My team won, so I'm very happy about that. The football's coming back. Olympics are on. It's the summer of sport. So, yeah, can't complain. Very happy. How about you? How was the Nerf party?
I had a Nerf party for my 8-year-old. For anybody that wants to have a Nerf party, my advice is don't. Basically, it was extremely stressful. 4 out of the 12 kids cried. A few injuries here and there, but it was fine. I bought all these goggles to try and wear so they wouldn't get their eyes, and they stopped wearing them, and then 2 kids got hit in the eye. And I'm one of those parents that be like, "Well, I told you so." So it's nobody else's fault but your own.
Did you make them sign a waiver?
I didn't. I should have. I'm probably going to get sued now. So, yeah, didn't think about that, Jace. You've made me annoyed now. Right, like I said, it's season 2. This is going to be our first episode back after a summer away. Before we get into the usual MacGuffins and other things that we do, I suppose, Jace, the summer, we're almost got Arsenal back. But what have you done? Give me something that you've done this summer, because I know you've had some good stuff going on.
Oh yeah, I mean, good stuff. I had an operation, man. That's good, but it's kept me in the house. But no, before that, I was out in Germany. That was great fun. I got friends that live out there, so I had the opportunity to just go and soak up a little bit of the atmosphere on the first week of the Euros. So I had tickets to the France game, managed to get rid of them, went to the England game. Didn't really make a difference which one of those games to go to because they were both rubbish, to be perfectly honest. But I've never been to see England at a tournament, and the tournament abroad as well. So soaked up the atmosphere. Gelsenkirchen for the first game, Serbia. Saw a couple of blokes I played football with, literally 2 rows across, which was just random, right? Like 60,000 seat stadium, and there's 2 people literally I play football with week in, week out, like just literally a couple of seats behind. So what a chance of that. But just great atmosphere, just great to be out there. Like fans were all well behaved overall, which was great. But I was based in a city which was not what it's in the area of Cologne and Dusseldorf and Gelsenkirchen and Dortmund. It's in that area, but it didn't have a stadium there. But even in that city, it was full of fans. There was loads of Albanian fans when I got off the train. It's a university city I was staying in, and there's loads of student bars. Like we bundled in the student bars to watch the Germany game, which was really like awkward because there's like me and my mate, we're both English. I'm there English, and there's a couple of friends we know.
Were you wearing your German kit though, Jace?
Yeah. Just to clarify, I was wearing my Mesut Ozil German World Cup winning German shirt, so I fitted in. I was like, no one talk to me in German, please. No one talk to me in German, because then I'd have to go on. Mein Deutsch is nicht good. Like, what do I do?
Solid German.
Yeah, no, right? Like, speak as the English, something like that. I don't know if that's correct. But it was just great. Like, everyone was friendly, great atmosphere. Festival football. I love it. I'm not the biggest. Obviously, I want England to win, but I'm not a massive England fan. Like when it comes to club football, 100%.
I mean, for anybody that's listening to this podcast, Jason will 100% know your disdain for the English football team. Well, mainly just Gareth Southgate, but by proxy and by association, England.
It doesn't mean everything to me like Arsenal means everything to me, but I just love international tournaments. Just different cultures coming together. Watching some great football, having fun, drinking, just like drinking sensibly. Let me be clear. I'm not a beer person. Aperol spritz for me, But
loving Aperol spritz.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, it was just a great time. So yeah, lovely week out in Germany, and then I had a week off after that, cycling around France before I went in for surgery the week after, which is I'm almost 3 weeks post operation for a meniscus injury. Sewn meniscus back together. So a eventful summer is the long and short of it. How about you? What have you been up to?
I was hoping you would ask me, to be honest. I know, but you've done a very exciting one. You've had I've done nothing, working obviously extremely hard, Jason, as you'd expect me to. When you talk about international football, obviously I watched most of the Euros, and it was all a bit of a meh. One thing it did bring into light quite astutely for me, at least, was how much I miss club football and how much I miss the Arsenal. It was very much like when you watch how boring and placid and sideways and everything else that's wrong with the English football, just made me pine for the Arteta ball that we're hopefully going to see pretty soon. So yeah, a pretty uneventful summer so far. Going to Ibiza at the end of August, so I will miss the Brighton game. That game's on the day I come home, I think. But yeah, I got something to look forward to, at least.
So everyone, watch out for Greg on the strip in Ibiza.
Yeah, don't know about that, mate. My brother is trying to make me go out with him because it's my birthday while I'm out there too. So he's like, "Oh, we'll just go out on this night." And I think he over or underestimates, depending on how you look at it, my vistitude for partying. I don't know. We'll see.
You love it. You love it.
I know. I do love it, but just not. I love it with you lot. I don't love it with my brother. My brother's going to give me something else altogether. Right. It's like we're back again, right? Let's get back into Rip Room Reds. Let's get back into a Rip Room review. Jason's probably going to be thinking of his, so I'll go first. Why not? For me, it's like I just said, I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. I'm all about Arsenal. I have got my Arsenal tattoo. I don't have an Arsenal tattoo yet. I've got an Arsenal tattoo booked in on Sunday coming, and I am just all about this season. I have such lofty hopes and ambitions for this season after seeing what we've done in the past 2 seasons and thinking that Arteta has been very good at looking at the areas of which needed to be fixed. And that's why I'm less worried about maybe the slow summer that we've maybe had a little bit so far. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. I'm not so bothered about it. And I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to see Arsenal again. I'm ready to step foot down Holloway Road. I'm ready to just walk into that stadium. I'm super excited. You know, I like the last kind of weeks of summer that you get when you get to go to the Arsenal and you get to go in your shorts and your maybe your flip flops and a t-shirt, because you don't really get to do that super often. There was one year where we went and it was just like incredible sunshine. It's just a lovely day, and we've got tickets. Well, I've got tickets. Jason can't. I don't think you can make that first game of the season, right? I think we're going to see Bayer or the other one, Lyon.
So what we got Leverkusen, which I bought tickets for, but wasn't expecting my recovery to be what it is. So yeah, it's going to be hard to get to that one. I'm going to try and get to the Lyon game because we've got tickets for that as well.
Yeah.
And then I said no to Wolves because I thought my recovery might clash. I didn't want to risk. But yeah, I think the reality is I should have said yes because I'll be actually off my crutches and my leg brace by then. So now I'm hitting myself in the face because I want to go to Wolves.
Did we only get 2 tickets? I think we only got 2 tickets for that one, though, right?
Yeah, we did. We went in those, so maybe I'll find one on the ticket exchange room.
Yeah, I reckon so. But you know what I mean? Like that first game of the season is I'm just really looking forward to it. We've been the last few years where we go to the first game of the season. It's usually a good vibe. It's usually a good game. We usually come away with 3 points, and I'm just so looking forward to it more than anything else. What about you, Jace? What's your review? Where's your head at?
I'm waiting for the Ornstein bombs. That's what I want. Ornstein. That's what I want my Twitter feed to be full of. Ding, 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 ding. So I want Nico Williams. I want Calafiori done in an Arsenal shirt. I don't know, Marino looked pretty decent in the Euros for Spain. I would have preferred Zubamendi, but apparently he doesn't want to come. I just want the Spanish national squad through Ornstein signing for Arsenal. Is that enough?
I think that's probably enough. I'm like you, Jace. There's my Ornstein all post notifications on X ready to go. And every time I get excited when I click on my little I've got one from it. Oh crap, it's just Man United have signed another nobody. Which is a shame. But I'm like, I wait upon those with bated breath. Because if you follow like Fabrizio Romano or whoever, I don't care. Just says the same crap every single day, and it's just it's nothingness.
He's an influencer. He's not a journalist. He's an influencer. Ornstein's a journalist.
When Ornstein tweeted yesterday that we were accelerating and pushing for Calafiori, I was like, that's when you know it's real for me.
Yeah.
You can see all the rumors and all the chat beforehand, but like
Yeah.
as soon as that happens, it's like, oh, it's happening.
Ornstein posts when he needs to post. Fabrizio Romano just posts the same crap religiously. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude to him, but just so he gets me excited and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
So yeah. One question for you before we move on: who's the mystery German player?
I mean, I'll tell you who I want it to be, and I know it's not going to be Musiala, but it's not going to be. That was who I wanted it to be. Because it's not going to be.
So you say it's Kimmich? Because there's you see
it won't be Kimmich either, surely.
Why?
I just can't see it being Kimmich. I think it's just going to be. I'd read something else before, and I know that Teams News and Ticks is usually quite one of the ones that's quite good at this type of stuff. And they basically this player is not someone to necessarily get very excited about.
Skodran Mustafi.
maybe we'll get Henchmez at Ozil.
Oh yeah, I mean, why not?
he might jump for a header now. That would be incredible. He might muscle someone off the ball.
He's probably one of the backup keepers.
Who do you think it is?
I
think it's Kimmich then.
No, I'm upset for my friend here because I mean I've got a soft spot now for Bayer Leverkusen because my friend's a season ticket holder and that's one of the local teams when I'm out in Germany. I'm hoping to go see some games this year, and Jack was obviously there, so the affiliation. But I think it is Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen. I've just got a feeling because I think he would fit nicely. He is an Odegaard, Fabio Vieira type player, but I think he can play on the other side, which is what we need, and he can cover. Because I don't think Fabio Vieira is the one. Maybe we'll talk about that a bit more, but I think it could be Wirtz. In fact, I want it to be Wirtz. Because I don't know how Musiala fits in our squad, to be honest. So I would prefer Wirtz.
Right profile, right, all of that kind of stuff, age, but I don't know. There's a lot of good talent at that kind of bracket. Like you say, though, we'd have to get some outgoings for that to kind of make sense, in my opinion. But like you say, you've got ESR, you've got Vieira, you've got Odegaard, all who can kind of play within that space.
Yeah,
not sure.
See. Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, we're kind of touching it, I suppose. But let's go into a bit more detail. We've got summer business, right? It's been a relatively quiet summer by everybody's standards, to be honest. With the Euros and the Copa America, it has slowed down a lot of the business that clubs are doing. Arsenal have yet to kind of make anything of a marquee signing, but there is one that is on everyone's lips. We've already mentioned it is Calafiori from Bologna. The fee looks to be right. Player looks to be right. Tell me, Jace, why? Well, firstly, do you like this signing? Do you think this signing makes sense? And if you do, what do you like about it?
I question whether we needed to bring a defender in more than other players. But if I put that aside, do I like the signing? If we're getting in a defender, do I like the signing for the value of money? Yes. Now it's that time of year, right? Get the YouTube videos out, 12-minute clips. Let me just sit. I sat with my wife earlier. We went to a coffee shop. She was writing her book. I'm sat there doing notes of the podcast. I'm just watching a 12-minute clip of Calafiori. Just watching his highlight reel. It's like that time of year again. I'm just going to be watching YouTube videos for the next 20 days. But look, what I took away from it, he is a really good player when it comes to carrying that ball out of defence. A little bit like you can see Ben White sometimes likes to take a march out of defence. Saliba occasionally too. Gabriel not so much. But he loves to carry the ball out. Great long passing range. I don't know if you've seen some of the long balls he's been able to play. You go look at I don't know if you've looked at his highlights reel. Go look at some of his long balls. His long ball distribution is pretty impressive. Just good technical feet. Like there's a number of clips where he is running out of the defense with the ball at his feet, and then when he gets to the final third, he's doing very technically acute passes into the right positions, which I thought was just really impressive to see. Ball possession and composure at the back as well. Very calm, like Saliba. He literally reminds me of William Saliba on the left. And the final thing is, I actually think he's a defensive upgrade on Zinchenko. What I mean by that is, I actually saw a lot of inverting. You can see how he is the left-sided Urian Timber. I mean, you can put Timber on the left. You can also play Timber on the right. He definitely can invert. And the thing for me is, I just think he's an upgrade on Zinchenko defensively. And I do see Zinchenko leaving. I don't, unless we are moving Zinchenko into the midfield to play in that defensive 6 role, I don't see a place for Zinchenko in the squad. And then additionally, the last thing I'll say about him was that I think he could also, if we needed him to play in that 6, he could. Like you saw John Stones for City stepping in that 6. His ball control and his distribution and his ability to tackle makes me feel he could also fit in there if we ever needed cover. So I think, and then the final, sorry, Greg, I'm probably taking all your points here. The money as well is really good. The money's really good. Like, when you consider how much Man United are paying for it, and we'll talk about it later, but like the market at the moment is a bargain. So yeah, I'm happy with him, I guess.
Do you think you mentioned some of those players there, though? I just a question. We have Zinchenko. We have a lot of options on the left.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of them or multiple of them. Like you say, Timber has played there. We've got Zinchenko that's played there. We've got Kirill that played there. I think we've also had Tomiyasu has played in there at times as well. He was from Bologna, right?
He was.
Yeah. I just wonder that we seem to have, and like I say, it feels like the infinity gems to Mikel Arteta at the moment. Defense, it's like the 5, Reyes the 1, and then you've got the 4. Those together that's going to be the unlock. We don't need anything going forward by all accounts, according to Arteta. I just worry that we've got a lot and we're going to have to remove some, and we haven't. Usually, you see a lot of clubs do their removal first before they get their new signings in, because there is a worry here that we can't offload, and our teams will know that we need to offload some of these players, and so they're not going to get a good market value.
That is a risk. I think Kivio's gone, right? Let's be honest. He's wanted and there's a market for him. He's the one that has value. So I think he's gone. Zinchenko, I think, will be value, and I think he'll get bought by a West Ham-like club in the Premier League because he's Premier League proven. I think Tomiyasu, he's injured. I don't know if you've seen it. He's not. I don't think he's on the tour.
Yeah, he hasn't gone on the tour.
But which is annoying, right? Injured again.
He's just signed a new contract as well, right? Which is just like, because there's one thing I looked at for Calafiori. What's his injury record look like?
Not good.
And exactly, this is what. Yeah, exactly. That's. I mean, not last year, but the year before, he missed a lot of time through muscular and other type injuries, and it just worries. Like, usually Arteta's eye has been on players that can do 50 games a season, or at least more recently. Like, you've seen some of the things he says about Saka. He's like, I expect you to play every single game and not burn out. And we've seen players burn out, and it might be because of the training regimes. It might be because of the things that Arteta puts them through. It might be the type of players that we're buying. I was just concerned that we've never had a fully, like, Ben White has been an absolute unit. We know he was playing through injuries previously, but he plays all the games. And we had the same with Gabriel. We had the same with Saliba. We haven't had the same on the left. And I'm not sure that this is still the right thing. And maybe they're just, now we've got Timber and others, maybe he's planning on doing them 50-50, maybe.
I think we'll have to do some defensive rest. I think that the thing is, you don't want to break a solid back four. The best defense in the league last year, and we're just investing more. Someone's going to go. I just don't know who. I would say Zinchenko is the obvious candidate to go because he's probably worth the most. Kivio, I think, is going back to Italy, to be perfectly honest. And Tomiyasu will keep. We'll just wait. We'll just hopefully his injury's not too long. And then you're going to have Timber, Tomiyasu, and Calafiori, Saliba, White, Gabriel. All right, maybe you keep one of Kivior or Zinchenko, then maybe one of them. Probably Zinchenko.
I think you'll keep Zinchenko. I think Kivior, like you say, has the best value in the market, and is also, although there were games towards the latter half of last season where he looked quite strong, I just think he trusts Zinchenko a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to get rid of some, at least one defender. I'm surprised that we are bringing the defender in first, but clearly Arteta feels strongly about it. Interestingly, this is completely non-football. Well, maybe it is football, but it's. Did you see the post from? I asked a couple of Arsenal fans in X posting it, but it was like a screenshot from Instagram from Calafiori's girlfriend. Basically, they broke up,
or ex-girlfriend now.
Yeah, ex-girlfriend, and she's like, in her post, she wishes him the best at Arsenal. She calls out Arsenal, so we know who deals. Don't we know he's going? I just wondered. We didn't really talk about players' personal lives, but just I think about what we hear from Arteta, which is the encouraging his players to settle down, get married, all of these kind of things. I think he doesn't want. He wants a family vibe at the club. He doesn't want a party vibe at the club. He wants serious, dedicated professionals. Like, you'll never see a slang, a Jack Grealish, I don't think, type character. And I just wondered what your thoughts were around bringing a player in who maybe has to go through an adaptive period to a new country. And then also, I don't know what his circumstances are. I basically hope that he's able to settle in and maybe not be on his own. That's quite a daunting thing, having to move to another country and then be by yourself.
Maybe it's just the way I looked at it was like commitment. He's committed himself to the club, and it sounded like through all the things that I had read that he was very much like Arsenal was the club that he wanted. There were other suitors to him, and he didn't want them. He wanted Arteta, which is great. And I feel that's maybe like a commitment thing. Maybe he knew that his partner couldn't come, didn't want to, was what it like. And for him, from a professional sense, that was the decision that he'd made. That's the way I look at it. But I get what you're saying. That my other worry, and this leads on to it a little bit, there's not many Italian players that make it in the Premier League.
I had that down as well. I had that as a note. I think
I was trying to think of Italian defenders. Think of an Italian defender in the Premier League. I couldn't name one. I really struggled.
I mean, I can name 3 standout Italian players who have played in the Premier League. Zola, Vialli and Zola, but that was a long time ago. And Vialli didn't last very long. Zola was pretty long term. Aquilani did not last at all at Liverpool. That midfielder they bought in from Fiorentina.
That's what I said. But all your players are mainly like we always know Italians to be quite fluid and forward and dynamic. Like, there's a lot of players that we've seen up in the centre forward position, for example. But defenders is like, I don't know. I just don't know as well. The adaptability from the Serie A over to the Premier League is something that I just was a little bit concerned about.
The only thing I would say is that he looks like an old school Italian defender, like a proper old school Italian defender. And that does excite me a little bit from what I saw in the clips. But I mean, look, I think it's about attitude and the ability to understand the game, play the game. Performances will show. If he doesn't perform, then I'm sure we'll be sending him back to Italy or onwards to Spain or Germany. But I think the nationality these days probably isn't such an importance as it used to be.
You mentioned we haven't obviously looked at the forward line. Nico Williams was the name that you mentioned. He is the name he's the first name on my sheet that I want to get. If it's not him, I think Xavi Simons would probably be my next down. I would have probably said Eze maybe as well behind the next down from there.
Well, Eze would be more on the 10, right? On the left side of the 10.
I think he's quite adaptable. I think he can, I would have said Elise, but obviously Elise's gone to Bayern.
Xavi Simons, I've wanted for a long time, ever since he destroyed us in the Europa League 2 years ago for PSV. I remember that game because we were all looking for Gakpo and he didn't play well at all. I remember at the Emirates and I went, that's the guy we should get. And scored that great goal against England in the Euros as well. It was great goal.
Well, do you think we're going to get? This is the thing. I worry now because there's not a lot of talk, and I will say that Arsenal have either done a very stellar job this summer window in keeping the window shut in terms of any leaks, any conversation, anything about what Arsenal are doing. You know, it's been very, very quiet, generally speaking. Is it a bit of that, and maybe it's a smokescreen, or is the fact that we're not going to go for that marquee right wing signing?
I think we'll go for a winger. I don't know if it'll be definitely a right winger, like Nico Williams, for example. He's played on the left for Spain. The Xavi Simons, apparently the negotiations are already underway for Bayern Munich. So that's interesting because Bayern Munich, Elise, Sane, Gnabry, Coman. Was Coman there or is he gone?
I think he's gone.
Is he gone? Have a look. But you look at that, Simmons is already in negotiation with Bayern. So I think if he goes to Bayern, then a winger has to leave Bayern. And if it was Sane, or if Arsenal, I could see Arsenal going in for Sane because I think he could be in he's got Premier League proven, worked with Arteta. He's not too old. He's still got a lot of pace. I could see him bringing in. There's been talk that we want to bring in some more experienced players, a little bit more proven, experienced players as well this summer. Yeah, so I could see Sane, if Simmons goes to Bayern, being someone that we potentially bring in. I could also see us getting Williams, but apparently he wants Barca. So I'd assume that Barca might be given first choice, but I also think that we could probably be a pain in Barca's ass by just getting into a bidding war and them not having any money. So isn't that great? Imagine that. Can you imagine that? Arsenal outbid Barcelona.
But this is the thing. This Barcelona have just got a certain pull about them. You know, I watched a video that talked about where Arteta and Arsenal are not quite at that table yet, and even Man United probably are. Man United can sign players because of just the name Manchester United. There is an association there with that club. The same as Barcelona, Real Madrid. Yeah, they're the heads of the tables, and we're probably sitting at the one next to it at the moment. And so it is difficult. Even when you're outbidding, I think there's just a pull.
Yeah, I get that. Sometimes I don't want to be the cool kid though. I'd rather be the guy next door.
Under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about outgoings then. Just talk a little about ingoings. What do you think about our outgoings? Because we are historically and now an awful selling club, an absolutely horrendous selling club. Our best business of selling has been Oxlade-Chamberlain to Liverpool at like 30-something million, like pennies, really.
Iwobi to Everton. It was a great deal.
I mean, both of those deals are pretty good, to be honest, because they were both towards the end of their tether. Although did Oxlade win the league? He did win the league with Liverpool, right?
And the Champions League.
All right, whatever, Jay. Shut up. But let's talk about what business do we need to kind of get done to get our outgoings. There's the one that's, to me, the one that feels valuable at least is Emil Smith-Rowe, because it feels like you look at some of the other movements around some of those players, you look at some of the clubs that might want a player of his type, it feels like it makes sense to me. Do you think he's a player that we can sell? Do you think we can sell him for the right money?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's gone, right? I mean, let's be honest. He's in the preseason squad, but he's in the preseason squad because, let's be honest, we haven't got enough players because we're quite good now, and apparently everyone goes and plays in international tournaments, so we're quite we're needing to take some players to the US. I think he's going to go. I mean, Fulham's the ones that have got the money because the Paulinho money, so they're the ones banging on the door. I think negotiations started this week. I think it was around 30 million they're starting bid, and I think we want to get more 35, 40. But I think the fact that we're talking means that deal will get done in some shape or form. So Smith-Rowe, I think, is gone. I mean, there was a thing I saw on X today saying that Arteta has been quite firm that he actually doesn't want him to leave. I think that is a rumour to up the price. That's all. if it's either him, like if he stays, then what's Fabio doing?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, there's a lot
There's-
of. This is one of those things like Fabio, particularly for this year. I think Fabio stays, and I think it's kind of last chance saloon. But the thing is, Arsenal, we haven't trusted him up until this point. He hasn't played. It was very much like Nketiah. You know, Nketiah was the type of player that really needed to get games in his feet to show what he could do. And when he did, he could show it. When you're throwing him in and out of games, he just isn't that type of player. He can't.
Mhm.
I don't know, gel with the rest of the team. He can't get the kind of energy through his legs. He can't score. He can't shoot during those. We've seen, and Kai Havertz was kind of similar to a point until he started getting a lot of games. And so I wondered, like I say, if Vieira's not getting a starting berth, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk about preseason. I want to talk a little bit about him. Had a very similar comment to you. It's kind of make or break for Fabio. But I think Emil's going. I think Emil's gone. So let me say Reiss Nelson and Nketiah. Tell me what you're thinking on them, because those are two other big, hefty potential first tags, because they're English.
You say hefty.
English tax.
Maybe. I mean, I can't even see that. I mean, you see some of the value of some of the strikers going. Nketiah, if we got 30 for Nketiah, I'd be relatively happy. I still even can't see us getting that. The problem is with Nketiah, are we going to sell him? Because we don't look like. Well, do we look like we're in the market for a striker anymore? I'm not so sure. I know, obviously, you can probably do with Havertz and Jesus. Do you think you can win the league with Havertz and Jesus? I'm still a bit unsure, but some of the other movements around strikers, like Osimhen apparently is looking going to PSG now. Obviously, Xerxes went to Manchester United. I think obviously, who was the guy that we were supposed to all go in for, and then he signed his new contract?
There's a Greek player from Sporting.
We got Gyurikes or whatever it was, the guy who always does that. Not that one, because that's Dybala. But like, I just don't know if we're going to do business in the striker in the forward areas, and so I can't see, unless there is a real tangible offer that makes sense for us to accept. And for me, that's nothing less than 30. No, I'm not sure.
I wonder if Emery would like to do a swap deal.
There you go. Ollie, you have got no hope in getting Ollie Watkins. I can tell you that for free.
Oh, I'd give anything to Ollie Watkins. I think actually, though, here's my prediction. I saw a little rumor on this, and it stuck with me, and I can see it happening. I don't think we're rushing the striker, because we're going to have Jesus and Havertz at the start of the season. They will be starting there. And I think we need to bring in a winger. We know that. I think late in the window, we are going to do either a swap deal, or we're going to have already sold Eddie, and we're going to bring in a very cheap Ivan Toney, because he's in the last year's contract. And I think Brentford will want to cash in.
I just don't know if Arteta still wants him.
I think it's happening.
Okay. I just, I look at, when you mentioned it earlier, Arteta doesn't really go for the party, the bad boy, he likes nice, well settled, good to do. Like, you look at Martin Ødegaard, and he just looks like a nice lad. He just looks like a good lad. He's going on holidays with Havertz and his missus. They're having just sitting on a boat. They're playing chess. He's probably had like an Aperol Spritz, like one of them, because he doesn't want to go overboard.
Non-alcoholic alcohol. Like,
probably, yeah. But he's just a nice lad. And like Tony's just come off the back of a ban for betting fixing. Like, I don't know. Well, there was a lot of talk. And obviously, I think before a ball was kicked, all of the talk was get Tony. We saw what he could do. The latter half of the season just gone, he wasn't
great.
Even for England, I wouldn't say he had something different as a dynamic, but that's because you're replacing Harry Kane, who has no dynamic. So I'm just not.
We talk about that. Please let me talk about that at the end, by the way.
I'm not going to let you, Jace, because it will be here all evening. But yeah, I'm not too sure. All right, it's a bold prediction, Jace. I like it. I like the statement. But like you, I reckon we keep our powder dry just to see where we're at. But it's just such an interesting Arsenal. Very much like there was a period of last season where we're like, well, striker is the key to unlock everything that Arsenal require. And then all of a sudden we started scoring goals for fun, and it was no longer important for us to kind of do that bit of business. And again, I trust Arteta implicitly. He everything that he does, he can do what he wants for me at the moment. Like I'm not going to either split hairs with anything he's trying to do or question his tactics or his ability. If he wants to go and buy another defender because he still feels that that's the area we need to squeeze to help us win the league, so be it.
Yeah.
And I'll wonder if it's our powder dry until a real, because a lot of these strikers that we've talked about, whether it's Osimhen, whether it's Tony, whether it's Gyökeres, like any of those, it does feel like they're not quite what he wants. They're like 80% of the way there. And he's like, do I wait until I can get, and we've talked about incremental gains before, whether he waits just to get that little bit extra. And maybe that's what it is. Like you say, it's nothing he's blown away by right now. And he's like, you know what? I'll just go and get another defender.
Maybe we should put one of those defenders up front.
We'll give it a go. Ben White can score bangers for fun.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Reiss to West Ham.
I mean, again, for him, it's another one of those ones where I just can't. We're going to get an absolute pennies for him. And like you say, he probably wants to stay in London, I'm guessing. Do West Ham even need him either?
Maybe he do a swap deal with Kudus.
Jason's all for the swap deals where the other team gets absolutely bent over and we give them our woes. Here, have some of this.
Well, maybe we just knock off one of the Declan Rice payments and say,
yeah, you can
Reiss
have
plus
this.
Kudus. Yeah, knock off this year's 33 million.
Yeah.
But you see, because Kudus changed agents, apparently. I think he was a bit unhappy with the move he got in the summer, and he realised that I think he was pushed into that move, maybe. And I think the reality is that he probably could have gone to a much better team. And I think he's, I saw he changed agents this summer. I think he'd have been a perfect Saka backup, right? He'd have been a good.
Yeah, I suppose just whether or not he wants to be. You know what I mean? Like, do you want to be
like asking Calafiori? Do you want to be a Saliba, Gabriel, Timber backup? Apparently, he wants to be.
Yeah. It was Tesco, the player I was looking for earlier. By the way, it slipped my mind.
Guy signed for like a contract extension.
Well, he signed a new contract and then missed an absolute fucking sitter at the Euros. Every Arsenal fan were like, "Don't worry about it."
Didn't want him anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think he was the one that we really wanted as well. So I don't.
But this to my point. I think maybe because he signed another deal, it retains the value for the club. He probably gets if he goes and smashes another year at Leipzig, then I think we go. I think now there's he's probably still a bit of an unknown quantity to me.
Yeah, I mean I haven't got to with strikers, so.
Let's talk about the preseason tour. You mentioned it already, and you probably want to go into today. I think it's only today. Arsenal have named their players, their 26-man squad. It's a bit of a mixture of difference of players, partly because of availability, like say Copa America, Euros has played a part in that, and partly because of some injuries, like Tomiyasu, like we just said, is still on the table again. This is an opportunity. We've said this before in years gone by. The preseason is an opportunity to really put your name in the forefront of the manager's mind, to think about the challenges that you might have upon him in team selection. Is there any player out of this bunch of group of players that have been selected, Jace, that you're like, they need to put themselves in that window, put them into Arteta's mind and think about getting a starting berth?
Yeah, I mean, you've totally touched on Fabio, right? He was one of my key players I made notes on. Make or break, as you mentioned, I agree. He's no longer in the Portuguese squad, right? He didn't go to the Euros, did he? So
I didn't know.
So he's not in the Portuguese squad. He didn't have that much game time last year. He definitely had a couple of chances where he came on last year, and I feel like he took the game to the team when we needed a bit of energy. So there was a couple of good performances last season. But I think that mainly he doesn't sit in the manager's thoughts. You know, at the end of last year, Smith-Rowe was kind of coming on a bit. Vieira was not. I think that he needs to seriously put himself in the window for Arteta to prove that he can be in not just the kind of the bench, but a starting lineup player. Because we do not have a Martin Odegaard backup. If Martin Odegaard gets injured this season, how are we getting to the points tally that we need to win the league? He is a linchpin. We are so reliant on one player. And I think Fabio has to turn it on, or we have to buy someone.
I've got an option for you though, Jace, if you want to hear it.
Go on then.
Ethan Nwaneri.
Well, he's on, yeah. Do you think he's coming straight in? You think he's coming
well,
straight
I don't
in?
know. He's on the tour. He's obviously seen flashes of him in the under-21s and on the couple of occasions where he has started. You know, there's always that occasion where we sometimes get a youth player that just shoots into the first team. Saka did the exact same. This was Saka, and basically just screaming. And this is maybe where it could be him. But like I say, we like if you lose one of ESR or Vieira or both, you're either going to need another 10, or you're going to have to promote from within. And so, Arteta's been predominantly very bad at, promoting through the youth ranks. There's been a lot of talk about some of the players that recently just left because we don't do enough to get them into the starting 11 or into the 80-man squad. Maybe this is an opportunity to do so.
I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it to have him come in, and it's just so long since we've had a player from the academy come in. Like Saka's actually like 6 years ago now. This is what Arteta's fifth season.
Mad, isn't it?
You see, Saka came through under Emery. That game against Frankfurt in Europa League. So we've had we had any other player after Saka come through?
Well, no, no, and this is for me where one of the things I'd look at is the academy, because our academy system is getting a few good players through, but we're really bad at either getting them into the first team as a promotion or selling them for good money. You look at Man City, who just seem to, basically probably because they're farming out players to their other subsidiary clubs in wherever they are. I know they've got one in New York and they've got one all over the place. They're probably selling them to them for silly money, but they're better at selling a lot of their players or promoting through their ranks. So like Rico Lewis, Lavia was another one, Phil Foden, probably their biggest one. Like Man City have always been good at promoting through their ranks, whereas we've not. And so I just worry if we're not given those type of. I think the last person that maybe Arteta did put through was Balogun. We know how that went.
Went really well. Really well.
Yeah. I mean, so funny though, because there was a lot of talk when he was the striker to our problems, right? There was a lot of talk before we sold him that he was going to be the one. And you don't even hear a sniff of him in Liga. Yeah. So maybe a bullet dodged.
Maybe, just on that Man City thing while you're on it, because I was looking at this earlier and it made me look it up. So you mentioned Man City taking advantage of the group. So they signed Savinho for 33 million.
Yep.
From
one of their sister clubs in South America.
Yeah, ish. No. So they own it's called Troy in the French. I think they're in. I don't know if they're in league. I think they must be in the third division in France, because it says they got relegated twice. But I thought they were in League 2, but maybe they're not. But they signed him from there. That's another group that they own, supposedly, from, I think, I'm not 100% sure. But last season, he was on loan at Girona. And Girona qualified for the Champions League and had a great season. And City Group owned Girona. So that doesn't seem right to me. That just seems.
There's so many flaws to this whole
They just paid themselves 33 million,
Yeah,
basically.
because it makes sense. This is partly why like a lot of their books are looking rosy. It's the same with all the things with like Chelsea and Villa and Everton selling players, their academy players, to like 20, 30 million to each other for players that haven't played a whiff of first team football between them. It's when your back's against the wall and you've got no system for it, then of course that's what teams are going to do, Jez.
So yeah, I was just double checking my facts, so I didn't want to be caught out. Yeah, Troyes is owned by the City Group, and they are currently in Ligue Nationale. Oh, so they went down. Jesus, so they're in the 3rd division. They've had 2 relegations. Man,
Probably deducted points for charges, Jez.
If I was a fan of that club and City had bought them, they'd gone down. City Group had bought them. They've gone down 2 divisions. They bought in a player for 6.5 million, sent him on loan to Girona, which makes no sense whatsoever. Because if you've bought a player for 6.5 million who is that good, surely you're keeping him to help you get back up the divisions. But no, they sent him to Girona on loan, and then City have given them 33 million euros.
Well, Jace has found his new French team to support.
No. My team is calm. My French team is calm. That's my second home. But no, that's not right. That's not right.
It's City, Jace.
Football is broken. Football is broken.
Well, yeah, all right. Maybe it is. Well, let's on that subject, I was going to talk about rivals. Maybe let's talk about City, because like I say, they seemingly are either on the cusp or, depending on how you look at it, something has to happen, whether it happens this season or not. And I read today that maybe De Bruyne is looking to move off of Man City, which what would your reflection on that be, Jace?
He just wants to run. He just wants to jump ship, run out of town before Odegaard takes his crown. No. I mean, I think he could definitely do another season in the Premier League. He didn't have an amazing Euros. I think he wasn't as good last season as he has been. We didn't see the best Kevin De Bruyne. So I could see the advantage of why he's still got a little bit of sparkle about him cashing in. I'd be surprised to see him go to Saudi Arabia, to be honest. I think the US would have suited him more, if I'm honest. But I guess the money isn't maybe on offer there. And yeah, maybe that's his. I don't know what his. He must have got enough money at City, surely, maybe. But
you would have thought so.
You'd have thought so. I think it's too early for him to go just yet, at least to Saudi. Yeah, I mean, maybe he wants to go try himself in another league in Europe or in the MLS with Saudi. I don't know. I think that's a little bit too soon. But if he goes, I don't care. Take Rodri with you, please. Yeah.
Let's talk about the other Manchester club then, because that's surely more what you want to get onto, right, Jace?
Well, that's just entertaining, isn't it? As always, we signed a centre back 1 or 2 proven years in a strong league. Played in the Euros really well, 33 million, and they signed an 18-year-old for 60 million. He looks okay from some of the videos I've seen, so great. The next Saliba, question mark, I'm hearing people say. Okay, well, that's great, but Saliba's still very young, and we've got Saliba, so I don't really care about it, to be honest. I just think that I don't think it's value for money, is what I would say.
No, I think that's the biggest point for me. It's. I don't know whether or not other clubs are looking at some of the models that Arteta has done and gone, a young French centre back. Well, he's going to be a world beater, so I'll just plough the money into him. Bearing in mind, we paid like 20 for Saliba, maybe a bit more, late 20s.
25 to 27, I think. It was something like that.
And he wasn't. We didn't buy the real deal. He went out on loan a couple of times. There's actually quite a fraught relationship with Arteta initially. I'm sure it was.
Saint Etienne, Marseille.
Was it 3? Or was it 2?
I think it's in Nice as well. I'm gonna have to. So I think he went out on loan like 3 times.
But it was quite obviously when he wasn't the made player, and now he is. Now he's one of the best centre backs in the world. and we didn't pay. When you're paying £62 million for someone, it just feels that you're incredible that you're not getting a made player.
Yeah, I mean, so Saliba signed for Arsenal in 2019. That was 5 years ago. He then went back on to Saint-Etienne on loan for 1 year. Then he went to Nice on loan for 1 year, and then he went to Marseille on loan for 1 year. He's currently 23. We bought him at 18. So the age United have bought their centre back is the same age we bought Saliba. The difference is that we put him out on loan to gain and make his mistakes in Ligue 1.
And do you think they're keeping him to run alongside Harry Maguire or Lisandro Martinez? Like,
I mean, yeah, I don't think they're loaning him out like we loaned out Saliba, which makes me either they've got a fundamental, really strong belief that he is already ready at 18. But you remember the quote Arsene Wenger said? Like, he's like, you can play you can play someone at wing back or up front, but you can't play them at centre back. Like, basically, he's talking about, well, I think it was something like that. But basically, he's basically saying that you can't play young kids at the back, or if you're going to do it, you've got to be prepared that they're going to need to make their mistakes, because you can't be a proven, ready centre back.
The Premier League, as well is not. You can't. You see, go to France, maybe go to Italy. You ain't doing that in the Premier League. You're going to get absolutely muscled. Can you imagine an 18-year-old coming up against Haaland? Can you imagine that? He's going to get absolutely roasted.
I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't seen the guy. I don't want to comment really. What I will say is that you can, but you need to be prepared for your mistakes. And I don't think United as a fan base in the moment are that forgiving of players that have cost the club a lot of money. They're kids that come through their academy, like Mainu, you get it. But like,
yeah, there's a lot of free will there. You're not going to have so much free will for other players.
But for someone who've bought in for 60 million, like, you're going, oh, you got to give him a chance. It just cost you 60 million. It's crazy how they chuck money around like that. That's the thing I don't get. Like, it's just how they chuck money around. Like, I don't see that as a sensible. Like, they were meant, with the new ownership model, they were meant to be making more intelligent purchases. And I don't see how that's an intelligent purchase. Basically.
No, and unless he is slotting straight in, and he's the real deal. But there was talk. I think I'd read, because he had a lot of good suitors. I think Real. I think there was Barca maybe.
But he's not starting at Real.
But even then, they were willing to go up half of what Man United paid. That was their ceiling.
Yeah.
And it stinks a little bit of the old, where it's like, well, like Chelsea are doing at the moment. Now Chelsea have got probably 5 to 10 players on their books that are mediocre players on high wages and high contracts, because they wanted to. Mudrik's a case in point. They would not have paid the money they paid for Mudrik had we have not been in for him. They just wanted to outbid us, knowing that they could, or that they would want to. And that's what they did. It just stinks a little bit of that to me.
Yeah, it does smell a little bit of that. And I think like, the player doesn't even want to be there. That's the funny thing.
No.
You can listen to everything they all say now in interviews and all of that, and what he said since he's joined. He said, I want Real Madrid. He actually said, I want to be at Real Madrid. I think that's hard, right? I feel bad for the player.
Yeah, but then there's some elements of aging and other bits there, right?
Exactly. I think players are getting forced into moves they don't want to go. Mudryk didn't want Chelsea. Like, there's so many players recently. Kudus didn't want West Ham. He wanted Arsenal. Like, there are a lot of players who are young.
Well, they all want Arsenal, Jace.
Everyone wants Arsenal, bro. Everyone. Unless you're Nico Williams, apparently he wants Arsenal.
Yeah. Arteta just needs to roll out the Declan Rice presentation and just like Photoshop, instead of like Declan Rice, put like Nico Williams' face on it and stuff.
Yeah, I think there's something bad going on, really, where I wonder if needs to be an investigation into like agents and and clubs, but like there are a lot of players who are just turning up on big money moves when they've said they didn't want to be there, they wanted to be somewhere else. And I just wonder how many players are being pushed into moves because their agents and the clubs that they're playing for are pressuring them because they want the money, and it's all about money. Again, the game's being ruined a bit, maybe.
But we're still looking forward to it, Jess. We could probably make a big deal about some of these kind of subjects because they are. That's why I really part of my affinity with Arsenal, not the fact that obviously I like them, but like we go about our business what feels quite well and quite, Arsenal's always been associated with class and tradition, and I like that about us. Sometimes a lot of our business, the way we go about it, is well run, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't well run, I'll admit, 5 years ago when we had Senyehi at the helm.
I agree. But Arteta and Eddie have done a great job in making sure they can remove that type of thing from the club, right?
They've brought the values back to the club, and even now, if there's a player that we want and their club that they play for is willing to sell to us, if they're not interested or excited by the project, they don't want to be here, we won't buy them. We won't. Like that, if you put that on the situation we've just been discussing, the player said he wanted Real Madrid, but Man United still bought him. Arsenal wouldn't have bought him. We wouldn't have bought him.
Yeah, it's money. All right. Well, let's move on to. We'll go on to a parking lot because we've done 56 minutes. We're almost at an hour, so let's crank the doors, start to shut them. But before we do, one question. I think you wrote a note for it, Jace. I want to ask it as well. What do you think about the away kit?
I love Links Africa. It's great.
Love getting it for Christmas.
Yeah. My mum buys it for me every year. I really want to like it because it's a black kit and I love black kits. And so I think I need to see it in the shop. I've not seen it in the flesh. I usually I'm trying not to buy as many shirts because I've bought too many. Like my wardrobe just got no more space left. I'm just undecided on it, I think is the short answer. I love the black and white. I love the kind of pattern it's got in the white stripe that kind of goes down the side. Obviously, it's a collaboration with the London fashion designer Labrum. Is it Labrum or Labrum?
Yeah, Labrum.
But I'm not sure about the red and the green. Like that bit, I get it, it's because of Africa and our connections with our roots with Africa. And I was like, what? Maybe I'm being naive, but
I don't think you are.
Our roots with Africa?
And where is an African player wearing it in the marketing? If that was the case,
Thomas Partey's not on the marketing, is he?
I'm just like, what are you doing?
So I don't quite get that. I need to understand if there's an origin story I'm not aware of around our Africa. Obviously, we've had some decent African players throughout the years. Kanu, Laurent.
That's what I'm saying. Get some of the legends that we've had.
Yeah.
Then you can make it like about. But this is the thing. Like Ian Wright was also like, but Ian Wright's not African. Like it just kind of. I don't know. It feels a bit odd.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not sure about. They obviously always try and put a story behind stuff. So,
but it is an Adidas templated kit as well, though, right? So even the zebra style like sleeve bit down the side with the white and the black, that is just a template across the Adidas. But when we did, because obviously the one thing I will say, if we're banging in goals when we're wearing that away kit and we're top of the league, it's gonna grow on people the same way that the Islington yellow kit from last year did. I love that kit anyway. Yellow is my favorite color, so I was all over that neon kit like nobody's business, and it did grow on people. Then we were smashing teams for fun in that kit. That was ones we were sending people home from stadiums early. People were loving it, and so that's what it made a big, And so if we are doing that, I think that this will become another classic. Just right now, it just doesn't feel it. I'm actually quite looking forward to the third one. I really like the look of that.
And then, I don't know. I need to look at them. I might get one more, but I don't know which one I'll get.
I've ended up spending £200 on the gold Sega kit. £100+ on the red currant kit from when we left Highbury. And I'm probably going to spend another 80 quid on that Miami third shirt because it looks fucking unbelievable.
I've only got the new home shirt of Saliba and champ badges. So
Yeah.
Just a message to anyone from Arsenal, if they actually ever do watch this, which I doubt they do, like, just sort out the lettering, because I had that kit 2 days and the number 2 from Saliba started peeling already. I had to iron it back on. Like, I paid like 100 and something quid for that shirt.
They got us over a barrel, Jace. Over a barrel, they got us.
Absolute joke.
Right, that has been it for another episode of the Rip Roaring Reds. Do go and find us on your usual podcast areas of choice. Please do go and like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. And we'll probably be back again next week, I imagine, Jace, do another preseason video. We'll look forward to reviewing Bournemouth and maybe United.
Bournemouth, I want to say Thursday, and I think United's like Sunday. Would that be right? The United game's like one. Like like I've seen all of the feeds on X United and Arsenal they're posted, and it's like Man United 1 a.m. Everyone's like, we're going to be on at 1 a.m. 1 a.m. Like, well, I'm not going to be watching that. If it's 11 o'clock kickoff, I'll try and stay up. 1 o'clock I can't do. So
yeah. Well, I'm used to 1 o'clock. I'm used to it
with
wrestling, so I'll be there.
Yeah, you can debrief me on Sunday about that one.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you next week then, and thank you very much for joining us. Have a great evening.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.